The Matrix talk. We've been off a couple of weeks,
Yes, we're back.
but we're going to talk a little bit about ACT, happiness and beyond. We got to jibber jabbing about this topic. Uh, hey, somebody, Chris Williams is here from Cardiff, Wales, UK.
Ooh,
Oh,
nice.
wow. Well, hello there. Yeah,
Welcome.
maybe they must be interested in such things over there.
Perhaps.
And happiness. Now, we're a tip of the hat to Russ Harris, who wrote a book called The Happiness Trap, which is still around, and it's appropriate. It's actually very appropriate for this conversation because it came out of stuff that we had heard that, the age-old thing, why, well, I'll just put it in Okie terms. Why ain't I happy?
Yes.
Uh,
We say that in Pennsylvania too.
Do you say that too? Okay.
Yeah, the same thing. Why aren't I happy? Or I'm just not happy.
I'm just not happy. Yeah. And I forgot to look up the famous female movie star back in the 30s or something who has a quote that said, well, if we'd all stopped trying to be happy, we'd probably have a pretty good time.
Yes.
And so she was a budding ACT person right there.
There you go.
Ahead
of her time.
She was ahead of time, very much so. And so that's what we're going to talk about. What do they call it? Not to bury the lead, we're not going to talk about striving for happiness because you might as well be trying to grab a hold of helium or something.
Yep.
I mean, airborne helium, not in a balloon. You're not going to grab it, nor oxygen or anything else. You're just going to keep grabbing at it, but you're not going to get it. It just doesn't show up. So what are the secrets? What are the secrets? Well, it really comes down a lot to what ACT talks about. Good old acceptance and commitment therapy talks about, which is sort of what Steve Hayes and them were on, right? Back in the day.
That's where they were heading.
Everybody's trying to get rid of anxiety. Everybody's trying to get rid of depression. And nobody ever gets rid of those totally. They keep showing back up.
They stick around.
They keep coming right back. But then they say, well, it's too much anxiety, too much depression, too much something else. I want to lessen it. Well, nevertheless, the target isn't a behavior target, meaning it's how you feel. And if you're like me, first thing in the morning, I don't feel very good.
Oh, man. I feel like I have to unfold myself and take an inventory of all the aches and pains and dings and yep.
Most of us, I know a lot of people around, especially USA, will know the actor James Spader.
Oh, yeah.
Latest one was The Blacklist, playing this really interesting character. And I saw just a brief little interview with him, and he said, "Oh man," he said, "I'm not a morning person." He said, "My peak productivity time is about noon to 2:30."
Yes.
So yeah, I mean, and he said, by the way, that's why I queued up. He said, I don't feel good in the mornings.
Yeah.
He said, I just don't feel good. And so I'm like, well, me too. Not first thing. No, I think I get rolling a little bit before noon, but not first thing. So once again, that trap of I could say, well, I'm going to endeavor to feel good every single morning when I wake up.
Yes.
Yeah, well.
Have fun with
it. That's not going to happen. Fortunately, I can accept that I don't feel good first thing in the morning. See, there's that word, acceptance. Okay. So then it's like, well, if you're not going to go for feeling good or happiness or even out of pain or something like that, what do you go for instead? And that's the trip out of the trap. That's right. And so the happiness trap is very simple. I want happiness, and for some reason I can't get a hold of it.
Yeah.
And for damn good reason.
Me.
And the trap is, of course, the way we draw it in the Matrix is over on is loops, stuck loops. I'm not happy. That's yucky, right? That's on the lower left. I'm not happy. Okay. And I want to change that. Okay.
That's an exclamation point there. Just
right. So then you're going to go up and try and get relief from that and say, well, what do people do to get happy? I don't know. Go to a party, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, cool.
Go to a party.
Go to a party.
And maybe happiness shows up at the party, right? Yeah. But usually, eventually, they turn the music off, shut off the lights. And the party's over.
Closing time, folks. Closing time.
Yep. You go home, and the next day is, well, crap, I'm not happy again. So some cycle like that. We all have our different ones, but
oh yeah, fill in the blank.
And that's the happiness trap. Is like I keep trying to do stuff to get happy, and maybe it works a little bit, maybe not, but maybe it works a little. But invariably, the I'm not happy keeps coming back, keeps showing back up. Russ would want to shoot us, but that's crap. He wrote a lot more words.
He did.
But that's
nice little book.
But I understand because Phil and I have written books, and you need 80 to 100,000 words for a book. So
yep.
You gotta pad your stuff a lot.
Known as fluff in the trade.
Lots of fluff. So anyways, so what is it? Well, it turns out people have researched this
for years.
And but think of it, this research existed when you and I went into business 30 years ago or so. But because of the internet, we did not have the internet and stuff. We didn't know about it. Really, you'd had to find it in a textbook or an article or something. Wasn't very many. Well, even if there were news reports, you'd have to go into the.
Oh yeah, you have to go back in the stacks for that.
You go back, and that's the stack. That's what I was trying to think of. You have to go back to the stack to find it. So no, we didn't.
Journals.
We didn't know, but the seeds of this research were there. An interesting thing about this research is one of the original participants in the study was John F. Kennedy, who became president of the United States, and of course then was assassinated. But he and his cohort, it was a Harvard study, wasn't it, Phil?
Yeah, it was done in Harvard, and they had Harvard undergrads, and they also got a hold of deprived boys in the Boston area.
Yep, deprived. So you had Harvard there in Quincy.
Yeah,
right next to, right across the river from Boston.
Yep.
And then they got the deprived boys from
the area surrounding Boston.
For it, and then they started following them.
Yep.
Now they expanded this research to their families and stuff.
Yeah, to their partners, their children, their grandchildren.
So that was the big addition, expanding of the research people. But then it stopped. I mean, the expansion stopped. But here you go, since it was what's known as a longitudinal study, it still goes on to this day because they're still alive. I mean, obviously, many of them have died, but others continue going, so they keep studying. And somewhere embedded in it was this sort of the study of happiness or good times or what makes for
Yeah. What makes for a contented life?
a contented life. That would be a good way of saying it. And so now they're not the only ones.
Mm-mm.
Now, what's the name of that study, Phil, so people can look it
It's
up?
the Harvard Study of Adult Development. If you Google that, there's actually a website.
Yep, there's a
It'll take you
website
right
for
to
it.
it, and it's ongoing, and you can read all about it.
Yeah, you can read all about it. They're in their fourth research director
Fourth
now.
steward, they call it.
Fourth steward.
Robert Waldinger is their fourth steward of this project.
So keeps on going. So it's really cool. Now, if you look around a little beyond that, you'll find there's other research in this area of well-being or whatever you want to call it. And so the results are extraordinarily clear.
Mm-hmm.
That's the upshot of it is at the end of the day, they already know what the results are. And that's what the same results they find in other studies that this contented thing and longevity.
Yes, that was the other piece, contentment and longevity. Yes.
Right. Is how long do you live? Right.
Right.
And so what they have found is this, and I'm not going to make you wait at all. The number one factor, and this is very ACT consistent, by the way, is your relationships. Strong relationships, good relationships. Think a happily married couple for many, many years. And you ask them, how's your relationship? And they go, yay, good stuff. They're taking care. They're doing all kinds of stuff for each other. It usually comes under the words, they're taking care of each other. Okay. And that's it. So they make sure each other's going to the doctor, and they sort of make sure each other are,
looking out for the other person.
looking out for you, and probably just the positive stuff of it, the endorphins, whatever. Because now they do blood. Now they do blood and DNA and stuff. So back in the day, they couldn't draw they could draw the blood, but they couldn't do much with it. Yeah. Now they can draw the blood and DNA and cortisol and this and that and the other. And I say cortisol because that's what's brought down.
Right.
It's cortisol is the stress hormone, and if you're in a strong relationship, by and large, it brings it right down. So that's the number one factor. Well, that's ACT. And it's even Phil and I's thing of asking who's important to you. Right?
There it is.
That's the question in the lower right. Who's important to you? Well, that is directly aligned with, we didn't do this on purpose.
Yeah.
Happened. That it's directly aligned with their findings, which is strong relationships are predictive of contentment and longevity. So there you go. And that takes care of a bunch. Okay. Now that and other research has shown a couple other things that really help out. And you may be thinking quickly ahead and you'll figure this out. One is eating right. And whatever that is, but let me tell you, it's not that movie, that Supersized documentary where
I would not be hidden.
I ate at McDonald's every day, and if they said, do you want to supersize that? He made the rule that he had to say yes. And by the way, he in no time at all, he put on 30 pounds, and he was awful.
Alarmed his doctors and all kinds of
yeah, so anyway, so we know what not eating right is, okay? And so whether that be plant-based or whatever.
Whatever.
It's lots of fruits and vegetables and stuff,
Yeah.
You're not going to get away with not having fruits and vegetables in a good diet. Okay. So that was another one. And And then drum roll, gee, what is the
What are
third
we
one?
leaving out?
We're leaving out something that was a significant factor in this and other studies. Exercise. That's the other one. Oh no, not exercise. But yeah, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Oh, rats.
And so, oh my goodness, here we go. So the not so secret secrets to contentment and longevity are number one, relationships, number two, diet, number three, exercise. Whew. That's rough.
Yeah.
Now, the only one that people might have trouble with are the relationship one, because maybe they're not particularly good at finding long-term, rich, stable relationships. The eating right and exercise, any darn fool can do.
Yeah, that's very doable.
I mean, even if you have limited income, you can work on that. You can eat rice and a few vegetables or something,
Right.
You can do it. So I fully understand that there's food deserts and there's places where it's hard to do, but still at least you can hike around, you can try and solve that problem. And by the way, while you're hiking around looking for good food, you're exercising. So
yep.
And
you may wander into a person or two while you're hiking around.
All right. You might strike up a conversation.
Exactly.
So, nevertheless, but it's doable stuff. We'll let you in on a little something that the guy said. The latest steward of the Harvard study noted that it was back in the 90s or something that they were some time ago they were studying this, and their research participants had gotten into their 50s, so they were drawing blood, and they were of course hitting high cholesterol.
Yeah.
Warning.
Marker.
And so the prediction is, of course, high cholesterol is going to result in shortened life, a shorter life, less longevity.
You may have read about this somewhere along the way.
Yeah, it didn't.
Yeah.
As long as the person had a strong relationship. It was the relationship so your strong relationship can actually beat high cholesterol in that study, and actually in other ones. Now, you'll never get the medical community coming off of high cholesterol. They just love it. But the research tells us you can survive high cholesterol.
Oh, you can.
With solid relationships, right? And the opposite is absolutely crappy relationships, and I mean, there are people living to 100 with crappy relationships.
Oh, yeah.
It's all an average statistical thing, but on average, bad relationships result in shorter life. That's what it is. So here we go. So now this is a strange thing. This is what Phil and I got to asking about. And hey, there's some people with us here.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
Really, almost all medical stuff, all psychotherapy stuff, everything ought to be focused on those three things.
Yeah.
That's what the research tells us.
Very much.
The research is telling us relationships, diet, exercise. Now, believe you me, I don't know about the relationships, but the diet and exercise are going to take care of one heck bunch of the type 2 diabetes that's now running around.
Yeah.
So, and probably the relationships will help with that. But of course, that's not the case.
Yeah.
No. You go to your doctor and they talk about all kinds of other stuff, and most of them don't want to bring up, well, they're not into relationships, but diet and exercise. Maybe if you have type 2 diabetes, you'll start hearing about it.
They'll start harping on that. Yeah.
They'll start on it, but before then, no. this is something this will come up in other conversations, and Phil knows this about me. I have read thousands of records of people, thousands of healthcare records because of my position as a psychologist and what I have done. So therefore I get to see the big picture. And even people with BMIs, let's say of 45, 50 or so, they don't get talked to about their weight. You'd think they'd be all over it, the healthcare, the primary care people and stuff. No. Now, once they get, 50, 60, 70, yeah, they'll start, they're morbidly, whatever, super obese, whatever they call it. Then they'll start really harping on it. But up in the 40s, 50, 40, 45, which is pretty, hefty. Nope. Nope, not really. Nope, not even talking about that. And so diet and exercise just don't get in there. And so here comes another study, folks. Huge study where they compared like Effexor, which is, no, I can't remember the fancy name for it, but there was a couple of three of the SSRIs for depression they tried, and they tried them up against exercise. Yes. And this is a very large double-blind research study, lots and so they compared the effectiveness of these 2 or 3 of the SSRIs versus exercise. You will not see this study published very much. Nope. Or written about very much.
Buried. Stuff like that gets buried.
Talk about getting buried, because exercise blew them away. If it was a Super Bowl, it was 45-0. Just cremated the SSRIs. And I still remember reading the study, because they even talked about almost like a dosing effect of the exercise, where that in the first 15 minutes, 1 to 15 minutes, you get up to 15, you got a significant reduction in depression. And up to 30, pretty well knocked it out. 45, forget about it. It's gone. Hour, you're wasting your time. In regards to depression,
diminishing returns after that.
Right. I mean, 45 to 60, nobody can notice the difference. No. So from 15 to 45, yeah, maybe. But that first
sweet spot.
Right. But that first 15 minutes was really dynamite. I mean, and as I said, just obliterated the antidepressants, just obliterated them. So the way our capitalistic world is, and pharmaceutical dominated healthcare system is, that got buried.
Yep.
So, but you can go find it if you want. So now we have all of this together. So that one says it's effective antidepressant. We have relationships. We have diet. We're still on that same triad.
Yep.
The relationships, the diet, the exercise. Ergo, when somebody comes in, let's say to psychotherapy, and they're saying, I feel, depressed. Let's pick on depression.
Yeah.
What would be your treatment plan?
Anybody care to type in? Yeah.
I mean,
what's the standard treatment plan here?
What's the research? The actual, real, honest to goodness research telling me should be the treatment plan, or at least the first things that we ask about.
You want to dive into,
address, and talk about a little bit. Nobody's going to. They're scared.
Yeah,
they might get caught.
Oh yeah,
they might get caught. All this stuff about psychodynamic psychotherapy, or any of them, even ACT psychotherapy and all that. That's all.
There you go. Chris says, get rid of it. Yeah.
All of that stuff is like, how's your relationships? How's your diet?
Yeah.
How's your exercise? Because out of those three, you're going to get your big bang for your buck. That's where you're going to get it. That's
You're
where
heading
you
towards a
might.
path for contentment and longevity.
Right. That's it. That's it. So, to reverse it or to say again, the research, and now it's gone up. As I said, when Phil and I started, this research wasn't there. But now we can say with authority, really authority, that those three things are huge for people feeling content. We're just going to use the word content. And not only that, they're starting to live longer too. That's the three biggies. So what do we talk about? Oh my God, I feel depressed. Well, let's talk about your depression. Oh my God, I feel anxious. Well, let's talk about your anxiety. Oh my God, I feel others. Well, let's talk about whatever you're feeling yucky about. And let's see if we can fix up whatever you're feeling yucky about. And I know that's what's expected. I fully understand that. I get that. But we also know from good evidence that no, that's not what we need to be talking about. That's not what. So that's where ACT. So now ACT does sort of kind of hit on this pretty good, because they shortened the original name for ACT was comprehensive distancing, meaning you start noticing. You notice your big picture of yourself. So that was ACT, but that wasn't going to sell. So they changed it to ACT, and they really meant it to be action, ACT. So it's behavior-based behavior. You got to move around, and so values, they're going to behave toward values. Well, what do values almost always include? Relationships. So you're going to get the relationships out of that. Now, there's other stuff that they talk about in the values list, this and that and the other, which really, according to that research, don't mean nothing.
Yeah. Doesn't get on their radar.
Doesn't get on it, but the people part actually does. It really, really does. So you would go with the people part of ACT. So it is at least that it's behaving, and so you could target that, talk about targeting your relationships. And it would be very honest to tell people about the health benefits of healthy relationships. Because they are. They really are, as is. And then, and if you're struggling with that, okay, we'll work on that. But in the meantime, you can eat right and exercise. Now people go, oh my God, I can't do that.
Oh, now you're asking too much. That's no.
And I've really realized that. But then we got lots of people that have a lot of problems with that. However, that's still being honest. I mean, if you eat really crappy food and don't exercise, there's not much else you can do that's going to overcome that, folks. No. It just won't. So think about the guy that did it with the Supersize. If you don't know Supersize Me, Google it. You'll see. It's on Netflix.
It's a documentary, Netflix documentary.
Yeah, you'll find it. And then he just said, I'll run an experiment. I'll eat McDonald's every day. And as I go through drive-through or just walk in, if they say, do you want to supersize that? Which I guess was a thing back in.
Yeah. That's the marketing tact was, would you like to supersize that order?
Right. And his rule was he had to say yes.
Couldn't say no.
Couldn't say no to that. So trashed his health.
Quickly.
So now I suppose he stopped doing that and he has since recovered. But I still remember the French fries. Remember the French fries under the glass?
Oh, yeah.
Somebody, after like 8 months, they looked the same. And some custodial person threw them away by accident.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Like, it was the case of something's going on with these French fries. Or, well, actually, nothing's going on with these French fries.
They seem to be in the eternal present here.
Which is sort of troubling because you're those things been dipped in. So that no mold or anything grows on. They don't even dry up.
Right.
So anyway, they had that humorous thing going, which, But anyways, back to it. So our point is ACT, happiness, and beyond is like, but don't target happiness. We just put that in there for the hell of it. It's happiness shows up.
It happens. Happiness happens.
It happens. It happens. And so does anxiety, and so does depression, and so does all kinds of other stuff in life. They happen. And if you set the context right, well, you have more probability of one or the other. You say, well, what do you mean? Well, if you go hang around in an emergency room or something and watch all kinds of, tore up people coming in and out, hey, guess what? Things other than happiness are going to show up in your life because you've put yourself in a context where there's a lot of troubles, there's a lot of troubled, hurt people showing up. Whereas if you go hang out in Disney World every day, you may well notice a lot of happiness showing up. It's a whole different thing. I know that sounds extreme, but that's what we mean by context. You put yourself in a context, and then you upped or lowered the probability of, we'll say, contentment showing up. So if you put yourself in the context that I'm eating a good diet and I'm exercising pretty well every day, and I happen to have managed to develop a pretty good long-term relationship, in that context, dare I say, happiness is going to show up more often. Is it going to be a constant state of ecstatic wonder? No.
And that's also clear throughout the study, folks. They keep coming back to that. The people that are content say, oh, no, there are ups and downs in life.
Yeah, they are realists. They're like, some days are up here.
Constant state of ecstatic wonder. We didn't come to this.
And some days are way down.
And some days are just like,
they're miserable.
Yeah.
But sum it all up, 6 months, a year, whatever. It's pretty good.
Yep.
And that's it. That's what you're going for. That's the old line I talked about. If we'd all stop trying to be happy, we'd have a pretty good time. And that's what we mean, pretty good time. It's you're content. You're going, cool, this will work. And so that was what we wanted to present to you today. Now, you'll see us doing more. We're doing a bunch on how to run an ACT clinic, a bunch of courses, because we somehow managed to get up to where we can give APA CEUs. We worked at it, actually.
We did.
And so with that, we're doing a lot of, let's say, treatment planning. That's how this came up, really, wasn't it?
Yes, we were discussing our course creation stuff. Yep.
So we were, so just go about honestly doing treatment planning. Honestly.
Yeah.
And then you go and you read the stuff about, well, what works? Well, relationships, diet, and exercise. That's what works. The rest of this stuff we do under the guises of treatment planning, no. They actually don't. They don't work. No. they I mean, even the antidepressants, people wonder, I take these antidepressants and they're not working. Well, you're not eating well and you're not exercising and you have a crappy relationship. There's no
a lot out of that pill.
You're really, you're putting a lot into that pill there. you're asking a lot out of that pill. It's really quite silly when you think about it. Right. But we humans are silly. I mean, it's really strange.
We are.
We really are. But Phil and I aren't the only ones. Like you hear these people talk, and their documentaries and stuff, and they're the same. They're like, what? We don't know why people focus on all this other stuff. They do, but it's really, really silly.
It is.
in a reality, folks. And I'm a clinical psychologist, and Phil's a school psychologist.
And I'm a family therapist, been doing it for years. It's right.
Yeah, silly. Now, the family therapist, now there you go. At least it's relationships.
Well, yeah, that is true. We are in there talking about relationships when we're doing family.
At least if they were showing up and doing
kind of sort of on the right path,
right, better on relationships.
Yeah.
Well, the research tells us that the better you do with relationships, the more likely you are to have contentment showing up, and you might just have a longer life with it, right? So at least those are in the right direction.
Yep.
But for most of what I see in the notes, the records that I read regarding psychotherapy, as it's called, nah.
Nope.
We're about to do another. We're about to put a case conceptualization.
Oh, yeah.
Out there about that. And I'll go ahead. There's not very many people on.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, you know what? Here's a question from Chris from Cardiff.
Oh, sure. What's the question? What is it?
Chris's question is, what are your thoughts on clients who want to put happiness in the who, what's important quadrant?
I think it's great.
Me too. Cool. We want to put it there. We're going to put it there.
The reason is we're not going to fight with anybody. But what we're going to do is eventually get at a workability analysis.
Right.
So if you think, okay, you're putting down happiness, fine.
Yeah, put it right down. Yeah.
But in Phil and I's head, we know that out there in the future, if they keep showing up and we keep doing this, may even be in that very session, I don't know. But it's going to show up that we're going to see how workable it is going for happiness. Right.
That's it.
That's all. Well, just because you could tell people all day long that it's not going to work. But
yeah, you can't say, well, you can't go for happiness. That's no.
They won't. No one will buy that. Nobody's going to buy that. No. Hell, I know all this stuff, and if you told me that explicitly, I probably wouldn't buy it.
Absolutely.
I try to not be human, but it hasn't worked out.
Occupational hazard.
Keep falling right back
in its body.
So yeah, no. Put it down. We don't argue with anybody about anything. I mean, Satan and
yeah, the customer is always right wherever they want to put it.
It could be, I want to be unhappy. I'll write that down too.
Not there yet.
We'll write anything down.
Going for misery.
The reason, and Chris, if you'll go, we'll point ahead. This is all the process of getting to where you're noticing stuff. That's it.
Put that right in the middle there. See?
The simplest of it is it's about noticing all this stuff, so that we don't give a flying flip about what gets written in anywhere.
There's just content here.
That's why
it's
just stuff to be noticed.
We're pointing in here.
Right. Whatever. Oh, so you're going to notice happiness showing up.
Yeah.
Cool. So you're going to notice unhappiness showing up. Cool.
So you're going to notice misery showing up. Cool.
Cool. Right. So you're going to notice, spending more time with your kids. Cool. You're going to notice yourself drinking more. Cool. Notice there's a pattern here because you're noticing your life. And that's ACT. That's, by the way, an ACT, the technical term for that is present moment awareness. That's the name for it. We just call it noticing. And so really, so our nonchalant of stuff about people writing stuff into the quadrants is like, in the future, we're just going to ask them if they noticed it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's it. I mean, so we're free of that. So it in the back of your head, whether you want to explicitly put it down as a treatment plan, of which, by the way, Phil and I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
We wouldn't put down, you know what? Eating better. That's what you should put in the upper right. Eating better. And we're going, ooh.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. Mm-hmm. We're not going to do that. Why? Because it's extraordinarily inflexible. And you're going to get pushback.
Yeah, it's got that nasty word "should" in it. Yeah.
And if you should
resist,
right, you should exercise more. Well,
let's ease up on that a bit there.
You're going to get a lot of pushback on that. And what that's going to lead to is less psychological flexibility.
Yeah.
Which what that means is less noticing.
Yeah.
They're not going to notice. They're just going to be, God, sorry, I almost said a bad word. That darn Kevin Polk. There we go.
Yeah.
Telling me I need to exercise.
Yeah. What does he know?
What does he know about anything?
Yeah.
Right. Well, that's not noticing. Me inviting him to a rant about me telling him to exercise is not going to increase.
No, adding to people's woes.
Right. So all I'm about is getting folks noticing. Yeah. And so I might say, oh, at some point, somebody usually will say something about eating or something, and I can say, oh, so you noticed yourself eating. What did you notice yourself eating?
Yeah, what are you noticing about your eating?
You'll see how we inject noticing into all of this. We purposely inject it.
Yeah.
If we had
out noticing in like that.
If we had a hypodermic needle, we'd be intravenously giving them noticing.
The dose. Dropping it in. Titrating it in.
Little drops on
the like a little, bag you got.
Drip. So we're dripping and noticing. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
We know that's what we're doing. We know that. And it's just getting this linguistic style that you finally get people noticing. So, even that. So the person puts down happiness. Cool. Yeah. So you can notice when happiness shows up. See how I did that?
Well, it hasn't so far.
No, the person, I haven't. And I said, well, could, it might.
Yeah. Possibly.
Well, if it shows up, I might notice it. Yeah, that's it. That's all we wanted.
That's it. Moving on.
We didn't want more than that. And so we get them into noticing. So the biggie for our work is noticing. Is how often the person, our treatment plan actually could be, we are going to increase the frequency that our client uses the word noticing. We would be driven out of the profession.
Yeah. Maybe asking some questions about that one.
They would think we're nuts. So we'll say it out loud here and put it on a recording, but we're not going to go, it is what it is. But we would have to say it. We're going to increase the person's present moment awareness. Yeah. And then go, oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's a very worthy
treatment plan.
That's a worthy treatment plan.
Yeah, that'll work.
So we'll go with that. So, and then you can say, oh, they're just saying they're going to increase the number of times a person uses the word noticing. Yeah. Exactly. And so we'll go with that. So anyway, so we got into, what would we put on a treatment plan? Well,
yep.
No, we both know better than to put diet, exercise, and relationships on a treatment plan. I mean, you might slip in relationships. Somebody might ask for that. But even if somebody wanted diet or exercise, it gets too sticky to put them on a treatment plan. It's like when you write down, I will weigh myself every day. How do you feel the moment after you say that?
Yeesh.
Most of us, we say those words and we're like, ooh. And even if we go, oh yeah, this is great. Okay, then we do that for
3 days.
X. Not going to be long. Let me tell you, it ain't going to be long.
Yeah.
And that's going to go poof. Now, here we go. That's another cool research study. The people that were best at losing weight and keeping it off were the people who weighed themselves every day.
There you go.
That's actual research.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll flip it and say you ought to notice those words. You ought to weigh yourself every day. Well, the person now doesn't feel very good because they don't really want to weigh themselves every day. You know, we could make it better. Why don't you go eat Chinese buffet? Weigh yourself the next morning.
Really? See what shows up.
Or weigh yourself 3 days in a row, then go eat Chinese buffet.
Oh, yeah.
And then weigh yourself the day later.
You could compare and contrast.
You'll make yourself feel like crap in a real hurry as you put on 5 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. Why? Because it's full of salt and stuff, folks. Your body will soak up water to try and balance out the salt intake. I mean, there's science behind why that happens, but nevertheless, you're not going to feel good staring at that scale. Mm-hmm. Not going to feel good. So that's inflexible language. The problem with diet, exercise, weigh yourself, all of that, it's very inflexible language. So we tend not to use it. We're just going to wait for that turntable of life to go around.
Yeah.
Diet. And then they'll say diet. And you're like, oh, you can notice that. Exercise. Oh, you can notice that. That old 33 and a third album is just going round.
Here it comes again.
And we're just waiting for it to
Don't worry, there'll be more opportunities.
So that baby's on a perpetual motion machine.
Yeah.
Alive.
Oh, definitely.
It just keeps showing back up. So we don't have to worry about it because it's going to show up anyway.
Yeah.
And then we can grab it. And that's what we put it in the treatment plan thing. Not treatment plan, case conceptualization.
Yeah.
That we were talking about is that's it. You listen for it to show up and then boom, you pounce on it with noticing. And it's usually noticing with the matrix. So you could do it without the matrix. We just add
this is our dandy cheat sheet.
Ooh, you can notice that. Where does diet go up here anyway?
Yeah.
No, see how I did that? Where does diet go up here? And I'm done. I'm done. I just flex diet right there.
Yep.
And now all you can answer, where does diet go on the matrix? By the way, you're right.
Yep.
I don't care where you put it. It doesn't matter. No bother to me wherever you put it. Saying that's a skill, by the way. And this thing that we train when we train people in this, that skill, that it's not that you don't care, it's just that it doesn't matter.
Now we're not looking for accuracy.
We don't. Yeah, we're not shooting arrows or anything.
Yeah.
We're not going for accuracy here. What we're waiting for is the opportunity to pump up noticing.
Step back,
pump up noticing. That's all we're looking for. So anything that they give us like that is just stuff that we can, Now, with that said, folks, we'll get on something we wrote in as a bonus.
Oh, yeah.
And we already said, myself included,
mm-hmm.
Bill included,
mm-hmm.
we usually dive, sink down into what I have called chit-chat check-in therapy. Okay. Meaning you're talking about the person's story. Let's just put it that way. We'll say it that way. So you're talking about the person's story. They come in and tell you a story. Maybe they show back up a week or two later. What do you talk about? Their story.
There it is again.
This is what humans do. This is okay. whatever, fine. So what Phil and I said, we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
The easier thing to do. We'll just pop the matrix and noticing into that. Just real quick. We'll just pop it in there. It only takes us 90 seconds or so to get that popped in there.
That's it.
And now we're going to, oh, there's your story. Boom. Yeah. Where did it go?
Where would you say? Where you talking about? Where'd you put it?
So we're still doing basically chit chat check in plus the ACT matrix, or you could say plus present moment awareness.
Yes. Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Same thing.
And why do we talk? Oops. You can watch. Why do we talk about that kind of stuff? Why do we say that? Because we're humans.
Yeah.
And that's what we humans get to do.
You're gonna do it. It's going to happen.
But when we do all those, well, I guess we still do it. Some sit around a campfire and tell stories.
Yeah.
So you come to the therapy. The campfire is the box of tissue.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Or the bowl of fruit or whatever it is you like.
The fake
yeah,
fruit.
Yeah. Put plant whatever it is you got in front of you there.
We're making fun, but it's what it is, right? You got something out there.
Gathering around the campfire.
and you're sitting around the campfire swapping stories.
Yep.
It's what we humans do. And
tradition.
Right. So we'll tend to fall back to that. That's all.
It's a default position.
It's a very natural for humans to do. So you can fight against that, which is definitely not psychologically flexible.
Nope.
To fight against that. So we really don't fight against that. Well, we just added flexibility.
You just pop it up. Like that.
Can I show this to you?
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Cool. And now,
you know what you're talking about. Where would you put that right now?
Where would you put that? you just said diet.
Yeah.
Where would you put diet up here?
Or if it's in your office, you can be popped
over there or whatever. You can play around. But that's how we do it. So no, we don't explicitly put it into a treatment plan. We would put the other, whatever fits, whatever you need to put in. Whatever. We didn't focus that much. The more valuable one on that is the case conceptualization.
Yes.
So you'll see that. We'll have that out next week.
Yep.
Click on the green button down there and then put it in your favorites or whatever, and next week or whatever. Well, we'll send out an email saying.
Yeah. If you're here, you'll get an email about it.
Right. And we'll say it's ready. It's fun. We're just having fun, But that's yes, I can say I'm content.
I can too. Yeah.
Do I have bad days and good days? Oh, you betcha.
Oh, definitely. Oh my gosh, yes. This one's not over yet.
And you know how you'll go periods through life? I'm having one of them periods of weeks that technology is not agreeing with me. It's not.
Yeah.
A little glitchy, like my oven broke and other stuff broke, and and the display on my car messed up, and Now, come on, these are nothings. They're just
flips on the screen.
What do they call nuisances? That is
nuisances, right?
But whatever. But it's just not all a bed of roses, folks. But in the end of the day, you want to be able to look back over several months or a year or whatever. Yeah, good enough.
Yeah,
pretty good. I'm doing okay. That's good. And man, that's a pretty good life, really.
That's what the research says at the end.
And that's where the happiness trap comes in. It's the folks that, oh no, I got to be happy. I got to be ecstatically happy. I just got to be. They're going to be disappointed.
No, tremendously.
It's just I mean, really, there's even more research beyond what we've talked about. They're not going to get. They're not going to get it. And it's actually the trap. It's going to set you up for feeling miserable, really miserable. So contentment. So in the end of the day, we all need to be, and just Phil and I included, relationships, diet, exercise.
Right there.
That's the biggie. You'll probably have contentment show up quite a bit in your life, and you might just live a little longer.
A bonus.
A bonus.
A bonus.
It's nice to live a little bit longer if you're content. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I'll keep doing this. This is cool. So the research tells us that really what's going on with all of our psychotherapy treatment planning, it's pretty silly, really.
Yeah.
It's not even the stuff of prescribing all these antidepressants and anxieties and all that.
No,
just,
not getting to it.
You're throwing sand in the ocean from the beach.
Yeah.
It's just not. You're not going to get anywhere.
Pushing back the ocean with a teaspoon, as one of my friends used to do.
Yeah, well, you're not going to get anywhere with that. What we're doing, and that's why people. And now we're all honest, and anybody here knows if you've been around the treatment planning world at all, or I'll say even Phil's world, which was individualized
educational plans for
educational plans.
For youngins.
No matter whichever you develop, it ain't followed.
No, like in the drawer. Well, now they're not in the drawer. Now they just end up in the cloud.
They put it in the cloud. They put it in
the cloud.
It goes up, and absolutely nothing happens with that anymore.
Yep.
But by gosh, you better have it for when the people come in and investigate you or whatever they do.
Yep.
You got to have that stuff.
Yep.
But no, people don't pay attention to that. So, because humans are humans, and we will tend to fall back to sitting around the campfire.
To our human ways.
We'll flip back to our human ways. I like to think of it as sitting around a campfire.
Yeah.
It's really about what it is, really.
Very much so.
And
well, that's what sitting there streaming your favorite whatever is too. You're sitting around a campfire.
Oh yeah, TV sets are so popular because
glowing.
We have this mutual thing to
everybody's staring at.
That's what you do with the fire, except maybe you get a stick and
poke it a little bit. Now you change the channels.
Yeah, I like this.
That's pretty good. Yeah, we're going to something there, Kevin.
But we're all for people being human.
Campfire therapy.
What we strive to do is get people to add a little matrix to it. Might help. Never know.
And a little bit of fun. A little bit of fun too.
A little bit of fun. Okay. Well, we had a good time.
We've done it.
Be back sometime in the future.
Yes. Thanks for joining us.
Maybe a week after that. We'll chit-chat some more. Everybody. Well, have fun. Notice your relationships, notice your diet, and notice your exercising.
Yeah. Notice how it's working.
Notice all that stuff.
Yep.
We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Yeah. Take care.